All right, Miles, let's talk Miami here for a little bit. The Dolphins have been one of the more exciting teams, maybe the most exciting team so far this free agency period. A lot of big time moves. They did it in the coaching department. They did it in the trades. They did it in free agency. They, restructuring contracts, picking up to his options. You name it, the Dolphins have done it and they knocked it out of the park. But we've got an interesting story. I think kind of an under the radar, a sneaky good move the Dolphins recently made that could have consequential impacts for them going into 2023.
Yeah, Nick, there's been a lot of additions. There's been a few subtractions on this Dolphins team. But what I really want to know from the Dolphins fans in the comments below is who's a guy that maybe over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, that had to let go, had to cut, make a tough cut somewhere that you really think you would like to see back on this Dolphins team and can make a big impact on it. Let us know who that guy is in the comments below. But Nick, what is the big news for the Dolphins?
Yeah, so the Miami Dolphins, and we've seen all the moves they made this offseason and frankly, last offseason as well. They are gearing to go up against the big dogs in the AFC. They want to compete with the Chiefs and the Mahomeses and the Bengals and the Bros. That is their target. That's what they're going for. And they've done a lot of things right. They've surrounded Tua with great weapons. They've locked up Tua. They brought in quality coaching staff. So right now they've reached sort of even par-ish with the Chiefs and Bengals. And one of the things that can put you over the top is, making sure you fill out your roster with quality, savvy, veteran, hardworking, tough players to kind of fill in the gaps between your stars. And that's exactly what the Dolphins did. They are bringing back Andrew Van Ginkel, the linebacker and special teams ace who spent the last few years with the Miami Dolphins. This is according to ProFootballTalk.com. A 2019 fifth-round draft pick, Van Ginkel has played his entire career in Miami. Last year, Van Ginkel saw his playing time decline to just 29% of defensive snaps after playing 71% the year before. But the Dolphins apparently think he'll be a good fit in Vic Fangio's defense, and he'll be back in Miami this year. Yeah, so Pro Football Talk kind of undersells it there a little bit. I think it's an outstanding move by Miami because here's why. When I look at Van Ginkel, I look at him as a versatile, athletic, tough guy. He reminds me a lot of like those Patriot linebackers, those Patriot defensive players. Look, you look at the Patriots dynasty, they obviously had Brady, Belichick, a lot of stars, right, depending on the era, the Randy Mosses, Wes Welkers, the Gronkowskis. But the Patriots always seem to have like one or two of these just versatile guys that could whether it was come up with a big sack or a big third down run to stop or cover a tight end down the field or something like that, or make big special teams plays. That just seemed to be the difference in close games, right? Brady was amazing. Belichick was smart. They had the stars, but they always seem to have these sort of like utility players that always seem to make big plays when it matters most. To me, that's what Van Ginkel is. He's one of those guys who's versatile enough, smart enough. He's a team guy, right? He's not some guy looking to just cash in on as big a deal as he possibly can. And the fact of the matter is he actually visited the Patriots. So the Patriots think highly of him because of his versatility. That should mean something to the Dolphins, and credit on Miami of making sure he stays in the fold. Give me your thoughts on Van Ginkel and everything with the Dolphins right now, Mize.
Yeah, Nick, it's funny you say that because Van Ginkel on his free agency tour actually took a stop by in New England. Yeah. He went to the Raiders, the Steelers, the Vikings. But despite all of that, as you said, Fangio, the Dolphins, and Van Ginkel himself thought it would be a better fit for him to come back. And it's always nice when you get to play for that one team that you've been on for your whole career. So it's really nice that he went there, but I do like what you're saying about he seems like a Patriot guy. He seems like a Swiss Army knife kind of guy. And you can see that through his career where, he comes out in 2020 and sets a career high for a sack. So he gets like 5.5 sacks. Then the very next year, instead of sacks, he's knocking down passes. He's like 7 batted passes that year. So he's able to play the role that he needs to play. He can drop back into coverage, bat down the balls. He can rush the passer. He can put on his boots and go tackle somebody if he needs to. This just seems like a guy that can come into this Miami linebacking core and just really be the asset they need him to be. And this is already an outside linebacking group that is very, very strong. You got Chubbs, Phillips, Malik Reed, and now Van Ginkel again. So they have the rotation pieces. And I think in today's NFL, that's kind of what you got to have. You have to be able to rotate out these guys on the outside, keep them fresh, and have situational playmakers like a guy like Van Ginkel put them in at the right moment to make the right kind of big-time plays.
Yeah, because if you look at any team in the AFC, right, whether it was Burrow coming out last year with the Bengals or the Chiefs coming out with Mahomes this past season, or the season that just wrapped up, I should say, obviously they won the Super Bowl. It just, when you're in those big playoff games, they often come down to if you can make a key third down stop, right? You saw it, the Bengals could not against Mahomes. The Chiefs could against Burrow. The Chiefs win, they go on to win the Super Bowl, right? Sometimes it's that simple when you have quarterback right and you've got coach right and you've got a lot of good playmakers. It comes down to those key fringe plays where it's sort of not a star guy, but that third tier guy, that situational playmaker who can make a play. Is it the other guy's slot receiver or your linebacker? Is it the other guy's backup, third down running back or your linebacker? And that's exactly what Van Ginkel can do. He's a guy who can make those kind of plays. Great point. The fact that he's versatile enough to make plays down the field in coverage, rushing the passer. He's got a good resume at that. He had 5.5 sacks that 1 year. I think you said he has 11 in his career, so it's not just a one-year wonder. Can make plays behind the line. He has a scoop and score to his resume. Great on special teams. He can do it all. And he's the kind of guy that I just look at. If it's 3rd and 4 in Kansas City, late in the 4th quarter of a key playoff game, he's a guy that can make a play in space. He can get pressure on Mahomes. He can bring down a running back in space. He can stuff a draw, whatever it may be. He can sniff out a screen. He has the smarts, versatility, and experience to make those kind of key plays at key moments. And I think that's exactly what the Dolphins are hoping to get out of him. I think this is a really good job by Miami and Chris Greer making sure they hold on to this guy.